There has been many speculations going on about what happened here at Hastings Aqua Court that caused it to close early. But here's what we know. South Dakota native Logan Hunt's horse was sentenced today in Hall County Court as he appeared in front of Judge Patrick Lee. Judge Lee handed Hunt's horse a sentence of 88 to 134 years in prison for second-degree murder and use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony. 1 mile every hour for 24 hours. As another group of walkers and drivers are taking off now, this is a way to raise money for the Michaela Mui Ford Memorial Scholarship. She has attained her bachelor's and her master's from Hastings College. I'm here outside of the Buffalo County Sheriff's Office, and they have the entire block secured for the police memorial ceremony that will be happening here at 6:30. And as you can see, the fire department is hanging a flag down there too in honor of those fallen officers. The National Weather Service says that we can see anywhere between 5 to 9 inches of snow. Now that snow will be accumulating over the day, making visibility hard, and also it will be making travel conditions slick. Although there aren't many vendors physically here, there are approximately products from 15 different vendors here at the Christmas market. Survivorship 101 focuses on helping cancer survivors reclaim their best life by talking about body, mind, and spirit. Now, how will they do that? There will be talks about how the body heals, how to recover emotionally, and learning about diet and exercise. The goal is to provide an uplifting. Chief Story says the Aqua Court was fully staffed with lifeguards when the incident occurred. He says the video surveillance shows a 6-minute span where the youth started in the shallow end, which is approximately 5 feet, before going to the deep end, which is approximately 13 feet and does not resurface. Grand Island Police Department will now have a SRO sergeant. That person will lead all SRO officers. Chief Kevin Denny says the decision to add another supervisor was to delegate duties from being all on one supervisor. Learning how to stop a bleed is knowledge that everyone should know, because you never know when you will have to stop a bleed. Mindy Walters is the trauma program manager at CHI Health St. Francis. She says the first step is recognizing a life-threatening bleed is occurring. Most people associate life-threatening bleeding with squirting blood or a pool of blood, but that's not always the case. After you call 911, there are steps to stop the bleeding.
So it really depends on where the bleeding is occurring. So if it's occurring in the limbs, that is something that you can apply direct pressure to or apply a tourniquet. There's also other injuries such as junctional wounds, and then internal bleeding is something that you can't technically do something in person, but to recognize that it is going on and getting to a healthcare professional as fast as they can could save somebody's life.
Walters gave people different scenarios to show a life-threatening bleed can happen anywhere. She also says if there's enough blood to fill half a soda can, that person is experiencing a life-threatening bleed. When you're attempting to stop a bleed, make sure your elbows are locked and you're using your body weight to apply pressure. The most important thing to remember is that this can happen anywhere. Reporting from Grand Island, Leroy Triggs, Local 4 News. A new form of planting has entered central Nebraska and is in the form of wool pellets. Wool pellets hold 3 times their weight in water and release healthy nutrients into your soil, such as nitrogen and potassium. Landis Murphy says wool pellets work great in times of drought. She says they are 8% nitrogen and 4% potassium, adding plants will come out bigger and healthier.
I use a 2-step manufacturing process. So first up is a wool shredder. So we take the raw fleece, we don't clean it at all. We put it through the wool shredder and it slices up the fleece into more manageable pieces for a pellet mill. So then the pellet mill is the second step. So it condenses the wool with a roller and die plate mechanism.
Landis Murphy says once that process is complete, you have a wool pellet. She says she gets through 40 pounds of wool per hour, but her ambition doesn't end with operating out of her garage.
Right now, we're a pretty small operation, but we would like to grow into more like market farmers, like small-scale vegetable producers, so they use like 100-foot beds.
Angie Murphy says she worked with another farm last year and her wool pellets produce more than ordinary growing seeds. Lenton Murphy chose the name Kestrel Ridge because Kestrel is a small falcon, and just like her, is small but mighty. Reporting from Lawrence, Leroy Triggs, Local 4 News. GIPD is collecting school supplies to distribute to Grand Island Public Schools and Northwest Public Schools. Chief Kevin Denny says giving back is something we should always do as a community. For the police department, it's a way to show their appreciation to the community that supports them. And the community has some takeaways from this event.
That we shouldn't, especially to the kids, they shouldn't be afraid to come close to a police, and if they see something, report something.
Police officers are fathers, sons, husbands, and most of all, people who live in the same communities that they serve.
Seeing people in a normal setting like this and engaging with them is terrific, because police officers normally, when they're working, they're going to see people at their worst moment, some people at their worst moment. But this gives us an opportunity as police officers to engage in a more normal setting and conversational, and it's a great opportunity.
Chief Denny says this event is refreshing because seeing people at their worst moment isn't always who they are. Some attendees expressed what was their favorite activity.
Busting down the door, that was really fun.
What about you?
My favorite has to be this car. Because,
The end-wrap?
yeah, because I feel like it's really talented and it's really big, but it's really hard to get off.
And if you want to be a citizens officer, there are classes in the fall and you can always do a ride along. But for now, I'm gonna breach this door and knock it down. Police! Reporting from Grand Island, Leroy Triggs, Local 4 News. When it comes to Hastings Unlimited, score sheets don't matter. Director of Vocal Music Christian Yost says even though he has worked with a lot of the students in Hastings Unlimited, it wasn't enough to know what their individual strengths are, while at the same time learning students he hasn't worked with. Yost has to find out what their capabilities were, because some are mobile and some aren't. He explains what was the biggest challenge.
So I think the biggest learning curve was figuring out how to create a group that each student could be successful at their own level and with their own strengths. And that took a couple weeks to kind of figure out. I had to get to know the kids and get to know what they were comfortable with.
Yost says the best showcase of that was when they had solo auditions and every kid wanted to audition by themselves to sing the solo. Now if you think this choir is just an activity for these kids, you can think again.
We are all best friends, and we actually have really amazing students, friends. We probably pretty good at it, and I hope we actually have this bond with each other, and it's really special to me.
Grace says she likes show choir because she gets to sing and dance. Reporting from Hastings, Leroy Triggs, Local 4 News.